Welcome to Witch Way. I'm Elise, and this is the real-world witch lore of Sanctuary, a Witch's Tale. Based on the novel Sanctuary by V.V. James, this story was adapted to screen in 2024 and stars Elaine Cassidy as Sarah Fenn, Hazel Douglas as Harper Fenn, Stephanie Levi-John as DCI Maggie Knight, Amy DeBron as Abigail Whittle, and many more. Witches practice openly in this world, and Sarah Fenn is a registered witch in the town of Sanctuary, helping those who come to her with her craft. But when a fire occurs at a party attended by local teens that results in the death of the town's golden boy, and DCI Maggie Knight is brought in to investigate, accusations of murder by witchcraft are pointed not at Sarah, but Sarah's daughter, Harper. When further information comes out marring the deceased's reputation, his mother Abigail whips up the town into a modern-day witch hunt, and for murder by unnatural means, the death penalty still stands. Before the witch hunt, Abigail was actually part of Sarah's coven. Sarah is the only one in her coven with magical abilities, but is able to draw on the energy of her coven to increase the strength of her magic. A witch's magic comes in around the age of 13, and a ritual is completed by a family member which awakens it, if it's there at all. These abilities allow a witch to complete a variety of spells using different materials and a series of hand gestures. They also draw on spell charts, which seems to guide their energy. I couldn't find the specific symbol on Sarah's spell chart, but it seems to be inspired in part by the Grand Pentacle of Solomon from the Key of Solomon, from which there are many iterations. In one of these, I also found the sigil that appears on Sarah's family spellbook, the Star-Cross Grimoire. On the title page, we see one of the sigils for Mars, and next to it, a family lineage. The book is signed by every Fenn witch. Sarah also consults this book while doing her spellcraft, and we can see her complete a ritual for a method of divination. This is probably one of the most realistic portrayals of witchcraft that I have seen in a series so far. Sarah cleanses a vessel with cedar smoke and mugwort oil and fills it with rainwater. This form of divination is called scrying. In the novel, mugwort is described as being from the 9 herbs charm. This comes from the Lugnunga, a 9th or 10th century manuscript originally in Old English, and many have tried to decipher the herbs in the poem and their properties. In this poem, mugwort is described as being able to remember or reveal, which would associate with divination. Also, to assist with her scrying, Sarah takes a drink of Salvia divinorum, also known as seer's sage, which was used by Mazatec shamans to induce an altered state of consciousness. In the novel, Sarah mentions many forms of divination, such as using clouds, bones, tea leaves, and even animal guts. But in the series, she uses 2 other methods. A pendulum, where an object is hung from a piece of chain or string and guides the user to an answer, and dowsing or divining rods, which will point the user towards the object they are trying to find. Another ritual we see Sarah complete is her Sunstone ritual, to help people see reason when accusations start flying. From what I can find on Sunstones, they are a good choice for this ritual, as they are believed to encourage optimism, joy, and happiness, which is much needed in Sanctuary during a time of disorder and chaos. Sarah is able to practice her craft openly as a result of witches siding with Oliver Cromwell.
After aiding Cromwell against King Charles I during the English Civil War, witchcraft was legitimised, and the town of Sanctuary vowed to welcome all, regardless of creed or kind.
I have heard of witches siding with Cromwell before in the Penny Dreadful series, and of course Cromwell is the surname of the witch family in the Halloween Town film franchise. So I dug a little deeper on this one and found a broadside that I haven't come across before, titled "The English Devil, or Cromwell and His Monstrous Witch Discovered at Whitehall." Whitehall, or Whithall, is also the last name of the accuser in our series. This broadside associates Cromwell with making a deal with the devil and bringing a witch to council. This witch it refers to is apparently the prophetess Elizabeth Poole. The broadside states that the witch was given an audience with the council by referral of Oliver Cromwell. Poole also happens to be the last name of a witch in Penny Dreadful, so perhaps there is also a connection there that I previously missed. But back to Sanctuary. Though witchcraft is legalized and capital punishment mostly abolished, witches alone can still face this punishment.
The death penalty was abolished years ago.
With one exception. 1647, thanks to Matthew Hopkins, magic gets outlawed.
Matthew Hopkins began his witch hunt in 1644 and self-appointed the title of Witchfinder General. By the time he had retired, indeed in 1647, it is believed that during his active years, his actions resulted in over 100 people being found guilty of witchcraft, and the penalty in England, where the TV series takes place, was hanging. Matthew Hopkins favoured witch pricking as a method to identifying witches. Piercing the accused's skin with a pin, witches were revealed if they did not bleed or feel any pain. Funnily enough, retractable or blunt pins also have the same result. But over the centuries, other ridiculous methods have been used to identify supposed witches.
I'm not doing anything! Prove it! Dunker!
Ordeal by water was indeed a method used, and accused witches were tossed into a body of water, sometimes with their thumbs tied to their toes. If they sank, they were innocent and sometimes pulled out in time. If they were floated, they were indeed guilty of being a witch. In King James I's Demonology, he writes that water is so pure that it would reject the guilty and those who had rejected the waters of their baptism. And it is in the King James Bible that we find the very quote that spurred on many a witch hunt.
Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live.
The sign leading into Sanctuary states that it is twinned with Salem, a town famous for its witch trials. These trials took place between 1692 and 1693 and resulted in the execution of 19 people. But this wasn't the first of its kind in New England. In the novel, the town of Sanctuary is actually located in Connecticut, where witches fled from England, but persecution followed them to the New World. Indeed, in Connecticut, a series of witch trials took place before Salem, also known as the Hartford Witch Trials. Between 1647 and 1663, 11 people were executed for the crime of witchcraft, starting with Elsie Young, whose date of death, 26th of May, 1647, Sarah uses as the combination to her safe. In this safe, she keeps the records of her clients, their consent forms and locks of their hair, as this helps spells take hold due to the witch's mantra.
You know the rule?
Something given for something gained.
This series scores for a little bit of lore, some history and plenty of the craft. I really enjoyed the series as it brings the witch hunts into the modern Me Too era. I was conflicted as to which I enjoyed most, the novel or the series, as each ending is quite different and changes the story. There were plenty of elements of the craft in this series. I did do a little bit of research, but I am not a practicing witch. If you are, I would love to hear your thoughts on the spellcraft in this series. Does it sound accurate to you? If you've read the book or seen the series, I would love to know your thoughts in the comments below, as well as any other witchy recommendations for my upcoming witch lore reviews, or even what you've been watching or reading lately. If you would like to support me here on my channel, you can donate via the Super Thanks button, or you can simply complete your Witch Way ritual by liking this video, sharing it with anyone else you think might enjoy it, and subscribing to my channel if you haven't already to stay notified of my new content. And as always, thank you very much for watching here on Witch Way.